Chatham Journal. I have Asheebo, Rojas with the Chatham News and Record, and we're back with the weekly. I need to go ahead and hide that so you can see the both of us, and that should happen shortly. There we go. Boom. We're back with the weekly sports roundup. We're running a little bit late this week. We usually do this on a Wednesday or a Tuesday, but we were both out of sync. So we're here on Thursday. We do want to let you know what's going on. You folks did see the schedule up there as to the agenda we're going to. Someone made that recommendation, so we're going to stick with it. So we're going to start off with football. Football last week, Northwood versus Bartlett Yancey in Pittsburgh. That was a Thursday night game. And Northwood kind of pretty much ran over Bartlett Yancey. Asheebo and I were at the Seaforth Chatham Central game. Do you want to go over that game? That was an interesting game. You stayed till the very end. I don't know how you did that because I got wet. I got back to my truck and I actually had to change out some of my clothes because it got that wet. So why don't you let folks know what went on with that event?
Yes. So first of all, I expected it to be closer in that one. I thought Chatham Central had a really good chance to get that first win of their season against Seaforth there. But with the weather, I talked to both coaches. Coach Little told me, he wanted to go out there and play physical, play discipline, and take care of the ball. That was the biggest thing for Seaforth. They wanted to get out there, see what they can get out of their freshman quarterback, Duncan Parker. They had to pull him up from JV due to their starter, Walter Ontrikin, going down with injury in the last week's game against Cummings. So, interesting game for sure, Gene, like you said. And really, Chatham Central kind of didn't do what they wanted to. They turned the ball over 5 times. 3 of those interceptions went to Nicholas Gregory of Seaforth. And Seaforth really took advantage of those opportunities they got and ran up the score on Chatham Central 35-6. I think it was it 28-6 at halftime?
Yep.
Yeah, 28-6 at halftime. So, yeah, that one, most of the action was in the first half. Anthony Vesky, running back for Seaforth, he had 3 touchdowns himself, just running in short runs. So, definitely it was a physical run and attack game for Seaforth because they couldn't really throw the ball through the air with the wet rain. And also, too, like I said, freshman quarterback, they didn't want to make it too complicated for him. I know Coach Gary, he told me they really simplified the playbook. I mean, they probably ran. I know he was joking. He said they ran like the same 3 plays. But, yeah, they really did, keep it very, very simple, not too complex with the playbook and play calling that night.
Yeah, I saw Duncan's dad out there. They actually own Al's Diner in Pittsburgh, and he was kind of anxious about it because it was his son's first game as a quarterback. 2 things I noticed, and I want to get your feedback on it. One, the rain conditions made it extremely hard for them to hold on to the ball. I think there were numerous times where the receiver would actually have the ball in their hand and it just slipped through. And then I think what really hurt also, there was a bright spot. I think you can talk about that. Number 22 on Chatham Central's team. They killed themselves with penalties. That's the things that I took away from it. What's your feel as to those particular things?
Yeah, definitely Chatham Central had a lot of self-inflicted mistakes. Like you said, penalties. For me, it was really the turnovers. They took away a lot of their possessions where I felt like they could have drove the ball. And I think I want to say it was one of the last few possessions of the game. Chatham Central, they put together a good one. They got all the way down to the goal line, but they had another fumble that went up that I think Seaforth recovered in the end zone down there at the goal line. But they used Omar Brower. They got him, behind some blockers, and they put together a very long, gritty, physical drive against Seaforth, which we didn't see for the rest of the game. But I feel like had they been able to take better care of the ball and execute better like they did on that drive, I think we would have seen a closer game out of that
one. Definitely agree with you. And the other thing I noticed on the sidelines was the rain was coming down hard, and I noticed some of the players were actually shivering, including the cheerleaders, because it was just it got to the point where it's getting darn cold. Jordan Matthews versus Northmore. Are we really surprised about how that game turned out?
No. Northmore, they like I said, they run that option with Jakari Gillis, stud running back for them in that system. He, ran all over Northwood, who's really been on a roll and making statements week after week here last couple of weeks. So not really surprised on how that one turned out. But Jordan Matthews, they will have a good chance to bounce back and get back in the winning column this week against Graham. So hopefully they're not, hanging their heads too low after that one. Northmore, they have a really good team. I think they're third in the conference behind, I want to say, Cummings and is it Northwood? That's second?
Yep, Northwood's up there.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think Coach Johnson at Northwood said he's enjoying the way the team's going. He wishes they had done better at the beginning of the season, but they seem to be getting in stride. Which brings up to the games that are coming up this Friday. There are no games on Thursday. This Friday we have Northwood versus Seaforth at Seaforth. I would say my feeling it's going to go Northwood's way. What's your assessment of the whole game?
Yeah, I expect Northwood to come out and play well like they've been doing the past couple of weeks. They're picking up the confidence in the conference, and Coach Johnson's I feel like he's really got them focused on headed towards that conference championship, especially when they meet up against Cummings in the next coming weeks. So I think Seaforth will try to be physical like they were against Chatham Central again, and really emphasize the run game. Like I said, their freshman quarterback, they might not let him throw too much or do too much in the offense as far as throwing through the air, trying to, prevent turnovers that way. But I expect Northwood, like you said, to come in and take care of business in that one.
Are you feeling it's going to be close, or Northwood's going to, do as well as they did against Bartlett Yancey?
I have a feeling that it might be close in the first half. I can see Seaforth coming out and playing really hard. It's a home game for them. It's a rivalry game, so you already know, emotion is going to be high. Intensity is going to be high. So I think it's going to be close in the first half, but I think second half, Northwood is going to pull away. And I'm not going to make a score prediction, but maybe we might see 2 or 3 touchdown game in that one.
Yeah, and the thing is, now that they're all in the same conference, that does make a difference. Northwood's up ahead. Seaforth scores if they win this one, that helps them along, and Northwood it just propel them up towards the top, because I'm not sure how many of the teams from the conference will make it to the state playoffs. 2 other games coming up this Friday, and I think you and I just touched base. There's a potential for both Chatham County teams to actually win these games. It's Chatham Central versus Graham and Jordan Matthews at Southeast Alamance. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Chatham Central versus Graham? And then you also brought up an interesting thing. Let folks know about what's going on with Jordan Matthews and their kicker.
Yeah, so Chatham Central versus Graham, I think this is another probably one of their last opportunities to get that first win of the season, first win for Coach Little as a head coach at that program. Graham, they've been struggling, also winless this season. So I think they'll have a pretty even match. I like I said, last week they showed that, they can, if they execute and take care of the ball, do things, the right way, they can really, put together a good drive, get some defensive stops. They have the pieces. They have some talent there. They just got to put it together. And I think this week, if they just focus in, like I said, yeah, they just
disregard that.
Oh, no, you're good. If they just focus in and put it together, clean up some things, I think they'll do well against Graham. Watching them week in, week out, they seem to be getting better, like I said, with their execution and things like that. So,
do you feel that if they had a few more players on the team, they might be doing a little better?
For sure, yes. They have pretty much almost everyone's playing both sides. They do have enough for a couple guys to still be on the sideline and stay fresh. But, they with the top guys playing both sides, I do imagine it does get hard on them at times to keep up with teams. But a lot of the teams in Chatham County are dealing with the same issue. Well, not issue, but same situation with players playing both sides. So hopefully by this time, they're well conditioned and used to it. But Chatham, like I said, Graham, perfect opportunity for them to go ahead and get that first win. They come close early in the season. Then they had the last play thriller against Jordan Matthews. So if they ever get into a situation where it comes down to the last play or overtime, hopefully they're experienced and know what to do this time to pull out the win.
All right. Tell us a little bit about the Jordan Matthews. They're playing Southeast Alamance, again, a game that's possibly winnable for them. But you brought up something interesting about what's going on with their kicker.
Yeah, so Jordan Matthews has brought in a kicker from their men's varsity soccer team, Giancarlo Aguilar. Giancarlo Aguilar. He's a senior, and he just started kicking about 2 weeks ago. And first ever kick he attempted, he made it from about 55 yards. So definitely we'll have a story coming out on him next week. Cool story, interesting story. He also just got invited to the Chris Sailor's kicking camp already. So he's got the talent. He's got raw talent. Coach Johnson loves him. Coach West kind of helped bring him on to the football team. So really, really big asset added for Jordan Matthews football there. They can use them right when they get over the 50 and they get stopped. They could use them, of course, on extra points. So, a boost to their special teams for sure. Against Southeast Alamance, I imagine, them to play better, play well, and have a closer game. I do think they can win that one. Southeast Alamance, first year team, still finding their way. They did have that surprise win over Northmore a couple weeks ago. But we'll see what version of Southeast Alamance Jordan Matthews will see on Friday.
All right, so you mentioned you're going to be writing about the Jordan Matthews kicker. Let's talk about what stories. What story do you have that came out in the paper this week, yesterday? Let's find out. Let's talk about those stories first, and then we'll ask you about who your athlete of the week is this week.
Yeah, so this week, mostly game stories. We had, of course, the game story from Seaforth and Chatham Central from Friday. But also we had Seaforth Soccer. They had a big game against Jordan Matthews during the week. They gave Jordan Matthews their first loss of the season in a shutout, 3-0 shutout. Our athlete of the week, Jack Hayes, earned athlete of the week honors for this game. He had 14 saves, which tied his season high. One of the saves, and he was getting them any means necessary, reaching up, tapping them above the goal. He blocked one with his face. So he was out there getting dirty and gritty at the goalie position. And then, of course, what kind of stepped the whole night was the final penalty kick. Just him one-on-one with the kicker. He guessed correctly, went straight right, and saved it there, kept Jordan Matthews at 0, and pretty much capped off their night for Seaforth. As they've been struggling with closing out teams. I think the game before they had given up a lead at the end and lost that one. And those usually have happened against good teams like Jordan Matthews. So they've been able to compete against the best. Now they finally beat the best, and we'll see if they can, build their confidence off of that win and continue the win streak there. I think they did win their one game this week, if I'm not mistaken. I have to check, but yeah, that's also coming out. That also came out this week, and then another one is another big volleyball game between Jordan Matthews and Chatham Central. Rivalry game. That one was really back and forth. I think Chatham Central went up 2-1, but Jordan Matthews, they only had like 7 girls in rotation. They, dug deep within them, made some hustle plays, great serves from Leah Carter, and as well as some of their other seniors. They played really well down the stretch and came back in that one and won in the final set 3-2. So, in Jordan Matthews volleyball, they've been putting together a pretty good season. I think they're 3rd in the conference right now.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and the thing is, they're kind of short, a small team, member-wise compared to other teams. But they played up against Northwood at Northwood this past week, and they won that game 3-2. So they're scrappy. They're a fun team to watch once they get into rhythm. So. But yeah, I think you're right. They do. Right. And wait a minute. Did you tell us that the goalie for C4 got smacked in the face with a ball while he was in goal?
Yes, I got it on video too. Right down there, I had it on video down by the goal. It was close range. Right in his face. It didn't look like it phased him or anything. He got right back up and got right back in the goal. But like I said, he was all over the net. He was blocking everything by any means necessary, in which they really needed, because Jordan Matthews, they're an aggressive team. They're going to shoot. They're going to take their shots. They're going to get in to your defense and find opportunities. So for him to be as busy as he was that night and still not give up a single goal, even on a penalty kick, that was a pretty outstanding performance from him.
Yeah, those teams definitely have two different styles. As you said, JM is more aggressive. I think Seaforth plays a more reserve style, but seems to work out for him. And what you feel on the goalie? I think he's just in there. He's just goaling. He doesn't make a big deal out of it, and he just. I guess he stays zoned in on the ball. I don't know. He seems to do a good job. What's your feel of? Well, you made him athlete of the week, so you probably feel really good about him.
Yeah, he rose to the occasion. I mean, playing one of the best teams in the conference, perennial conference champion in Jordan Matthews, a game that really Seaford really needed to win, to kind of salvage and end that losing streak they were on. I think we're on a 4-game losing streak going into that one. So, yeah, he rose to the occasion, really put the defense on his back and his team on that side of the ball on his back for the whole game. Never stopped. Like I said, Jordan Matthews kept going at him. Even the final minutes of the game where they were down 2-0 and then 3-0, they were still trying to claw back in the game. But, he stayed solid. Also, the rest of his teammates, they also helped out in front of him too. So, yeah, he really was the anchor for them that night.
Hey, you mentioned you got a video clip of him stopping that ball with his face. Did you put that on your Twitter account?
I did. It was on Twitter. I tweeted it right after it happened, because I usually live tweet during the game. So if Jack, anybody that wants to see it, go to my Twitter, find the thread from last week's game against Jordan Matthews and Seaford, and in the thread, the video should be there.
Right, and Asheebo's thread on Twitter is ASHEEEBOR capital R38. I really appreciate the fact that Asheebo's out there taking video clips and sharing those with the folks. I think he's the first sports writer that Chatham News and Record has that's been doing it on a regular basis, and the feedback's good. I think you mentioned your count of followers has gone up too since you started doing this a few weeks ago. Is that right?
Right. Yes. Players, parents, coaches, they've all been following, especially coaches as I get them on the video too. I always try to talk to both coaches after the game. So, and they love it, and players love it as well when I get a chance to speak to them. So it's all good.
Good. All right. Well, let's see. We're gonna wrap. Well, we're gonna get close to the end here. High school volleyball, soccer, track and field, and tennis. So why don't we finish up with soccer? You mentioned JM still at the top of the conference, aren't they?
No, I think now with the loss, I think they're behind Northmore.
Okay.
Northmore, and they will play Northmore on, I think it's not this Monday, but the Monday after on the 9th, I think is the date. And I will be there for that one. I think that one is at Jordan Matthews.
All right. And then on the volleyball, we touched on that. Seafort's got a game tonight, Thursday night. Varsity plays at 6 p.m. They're playing at Seaforth. And last time they played, Seafort played at Northwood. They took that 3-0. So my expectation, unless you disagree with me, is that Seaforth will probably win this one again tonight. What are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel the same way. They've been dominating the conference, and talked to their coach a few weeks ago, and I mean that's been the goal. They played some higher classification teams early on. They gave them some tough games where they dropped a few, but it was all preparation for the conference play that they were heading into. Really, no one has been able to really stop them behind Kira Rosenmarkle, Allie Forbes with the kills and service aces. And then, of course, Maris Honeycutt with the assists on a nightly basis. So they're by far the strongest team in the conference and in the county for volleyball. Maybe Northwood, it's a rivalry game. Hopefully, maybe Northwood will play a little harder and try to still set from C4 tonight, but we'll see.
All right. And then track and field, I think Northwood had their senior track and field day earlier this week, and there were some other things going on in track and field as well. You want to fill folks in on that?
Yeah, so 2 big meets this week for Chatham County schools. For the public schools like Seaford, Northwood, Jordan Matthews, they were at Northwood on Wednesday. I think Seaford's Kenny Thompson, came in fourth place in the men's 5,000 run. And as a team, they came in second, 2042. Northwood came in third in the boys' race for that meet. Christian Smith Punapa, I hope I say that right, came in eighth with a time of 20:57. And then Jordan Matthews came in fourth for the boys' race. Christian Garcia Torres came in first with a time of 19:07. Girls' race, Seaforth finished first, Northwood third, Jordan Matthews. I think they were fifth in this one or fourth. I don't remember. But for Seaforth, Natalia Davis finished fifth place. First Seaforth player to finish in that race with a time of 24:41. And then for Northwood, Julia Hall came in first place with a time of 22:27. And then for the charter schools, they were at Woods Charter yesterday for the CTC meet. Woods Charter won both the boys and girls races. And for the boys race, Junior Alexander Cerrone for Woods Charter, he came in second with a time of 18:27. And then for the girls, Junior Anna Peeler came in first for the girls with a time of 21:44. And then Chatham Charter was also in that meet too. For the boys, Chatham Charter sophomore Adam Reese, he came in fifth with a time of 19:19. And Chatham Charter finished third for the boys race. And then for the girls side, Chatham Charter senior Samantha Scott. Let me make sure I say her name right. I think it's Samantha Scott. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. She came in second with a time of 22:12. And then five Woods Charter racers in the girls race came in the top five. So they had a really good meet in that one.
So it sounds like most of the stuff on the track and field was conference. And look, her Samantha's mom, if you misspoke her name, she'll reach out to you. Or she'll reach out to you on Twitter. Anything going on in tennis this past week worth noting?
Tennis, yeah. Seaforth continuing to roll in the conference. They had I think they're on a 7-game win streak now with a 9-0 win over Southeast Alamance last night. They're front runners in the conference. And then for Northwood, they picked up a win over Jordan Matthews and Bartlett Yancey last week. But Jordan Matthews on their side, they're not doing so well in conference play so far. They've dropped a few as of late in the conference. And then for Chatham Central, they lost both of their games last week against Chatham Charter and Seaforth. And Chatham Charter is leading their conference down in the Central Tar Heel 1A. They beat Southern Wake 9-0 last night. And I think their only loss and that was after the loss to Research Triangle on Monday. So they had a loss this week, but they bounced back pretty quickly. They're doing well so far this season. As I think the tennis season only has like 1 or 2 weeks left. So it's about time to start looking towards playoffs for them too.
All right, so that wraps it up for what's going on last week. And at this point of our sports roundup, we talk about where is Asheebo going to be this coming week. So Asheebo, what's your schedule so people can be out there looking? And look, if you can't find Asheebo, you're not looking hard enough. But you also need to follow him on Twitter because he'll put stuff up like a goalie stopping a ball with his face. So it's again Asheebo R38. But what's your schedule for the rest of the week?
Yeah, so I'll be at the Seaforth and Northwood matchups this week. So I'll be at Seaforth and Northwood volleyball tonight, and then I will be at Seaforth and Northwood football on Friday night. Battle of Pittsburgh. Northwood, has a chance to go ahead and put another stamp on the conference as they go for the conference championship. So definitely some good matchups this week to end off the week of sports here in Chatham County.
All right, that kind of wraps it up, folks. Hey, that's it for this week. We hope to be back next Wednesday around lunch. We're doing this for lunchtime. Again, we keep on improving. I'm telling Asheebo, if you take a look at this sports roundup to the very first one we started, we keep on improving. We keep getting better. And we appreciate the fact that we have more folks watching. Share this information with your family and friends. and let them know it's out there. I think I've been improving on my ums. I know Asheebo has been improving on his ums. And if you have any suggestions as how we can make this better, fantastic. Let us know. The other thing too is football season, regular football season is going to be wrapping up soon. And then we get into the playoffs. But just around the corner, 4 or 5 weeks from now, we got basketball season coming, and you will see more of Mr. Asheebo out there. Anything else you want to say to wrap this up, Asheebo?
Yeah, not much. Just thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned on my Twitter. I'll be providing more video for tonight from Seaforth Northwood volleyball, and then of course tomorrow night for Seaforth Northwood football. So look there for updates, and then as well, also, yeah, that's about it.
All right, Asheebo, I'll see you there tonight for the volleyball games. But again, I'll be taking pictures. Asheebo will be doing the video clips, and usually try to get in at least 1 or 2 out of each set. So you need to follow him. If you aren't following him on Twitter, you need to follow him, Asheebo R38, and stay up to date with what's going on there and get those little video clips of folks. All right, Asheebo, thank you very much, folks. Thank you very much. And we are going to get ready to sign off here. So let me do this, and we should be going off shortly. There we go. We're off in